Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Chip Chat podcast series hosted by HCLTech Trends and Insights. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Ameer Saithu, the Executive Vice President at HCLTech, and we're going to be discussing the future trends shaping the semiconductor industry. Ameer, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Thank you very much, Nick, for the introduction. Doing very good. Looking forward to our discussion.
Excellent. And just to kick things off, can you give our audience an overview of the semiconductor industry's landscape and its importance in today's technology-driven world?
Sure. A few years back, this kind of an introduction was extremely important because very few people knew about the industry. This is an industry that was helping all technology work, but it was in the background. Nowadays, I think everybody is sort of familiar with the semiconductor industry, whether it is during COVID due to supply chain disruptions or AI and autonomous driving and pretty much everything that we use to make our lives better is powered by semiconductors. And the way we are looking at it, it seems like that path is going to accelerate and it is going to be even more going into the future.
Sure. It's a fundamental part, really, of how we live our lives, how businesses operate. Looking ahead, what do you think are the key drivers for growth, and how is the demand for semiconductors evolving across different sectors, and what new applications do you anticipate emerging?
The demand for semiconductors is being driven by a few trends in the industry. Of course, the major trend is what you're talking about, which is a lot of applications that are requiring a high amount of compute and communications, and hence semiconductors. The chief among them that most of you may be aware of is AI and machine learning. There is a significant amount of compute that is needed to enable various AI use cases, whether it is conversational ones where you are on ChatGPT, or whether it is image recognition and security kind of use cases that are there. So AI is a very big part of that demand. On the communication side too, 5G and the wireless networking, quite a bit of semiconductor technology is going in there. Similarly, in automotive, autonomous driving, the overall factory optimization and IoT and connected things. So the semiconductor is there in all these places, and all these are driving demand from an end-use perspective. But in addition to that, we are also seeing that there is another source for semiconductor demand, and that is from an overall global supply chain resilience that many of our customers and even countries are trying to implement. So you can see that there is US Chip Acts, and Europe also has got something similar. India has put its plans known. So pretty much globally, there are new initiatives that are coming in that is also increasing the demand for this sector.
And just so I'm understanding correctly, when you say supply chain resilience, there are initiatives, legislative initiatives being put out there that is putting an increased demand on semiconductor suppliers?
Yes. So 2-3 ways in which things are happening. One is there is this idea that just like utilities, whether it is telecom or electric utilities or water utilities, there is an idea that semiconductor is also something like that for national prosperity and national security. And semiconductor infamously has been a highly optimized industry with its supply chain very concentrated on one part of the world. And during COVID, that is when it sort of got exposed with some disruptions. Because that part of the world had some challenges, and that led to a cascading impact on rest of us. And that is where the thinking got some momentum. It has always been there that there were people who or some parts of the technology that was always being developed in different geographies for national security concerns. But overall, as utility for general public's well-being, that idea that it needs to be done locally, whether it is in US or whether it is in Europe or in India or other parts, that got quite a bit of steam post-COVID. And we see, like you mentioned, Nick, we see a lot of governments trying to support that movement with these legislations and even funding. Of course, China had, for its own strategic reasons, had started funding semiconductors with its own institutional funds that they had set up some years back. And now we have US, Europe, India, and others, either through explicit funding for new initiatives or through some kind of subsidization for or some parts of the demand for manufacturing that is being confirmed or guaranteed by the government. So various ways in which governments are trying to support this movement.
Great. And we're going to get into that just in a minute. Before we do, you mentioned AI earlier, and it feels that you can't really have a conversation in any technology setting without bringing up AI now. What role do advanced technologies like AI, Gen AI, machine learning, quantum computing play in shaping the future of the semiconductor industry? And are there any advancements that you find particularly exciting?
Oh, absolutely. This is... technology industry, I feel like every 5 years or 6 years, I keep saying that this is the best time to be alive, and this is because technology industry has been like that. And right now, AI is truly changing the way we all live. And some of them we are not even we use it, but we are not even aware it is AI that is making it happen on our everyday lives. From simple automations that used to happen in the past to the way in which today large workforces have been impacted in a very positive way in terms of improving productivity, and we are seeing it in our own industry in services and engineering and product development, wherein we are looking at a quantum jump of productivity of an engineer. There is the populist side of it, which is the chat GPT kind of place where kids are using it to do their homework kind of, there is that part of AI too that is capturing the minds of our friends and family. What I am most excited about is the way in which industry structures are changing because of AI. There are and you can see it if you look at many of our customers, many of the large enterprises and their their plans and their as they say in their annual reports, you can see that they are all focused on employee productivity in a positive way, because AI as a tool is a significant multiplier for all our capabilities, especially our thinking capabilities. And that is where we are seeing whether it is in design automation, yield optimization, in engineering, in bug triaging and report preparation, or any place where human thinking is involved. AI is becoming that tool. It is that Swiss Army knife that is helping you multiply your productivity. And once you look at it at such a fundamental level, all we can say is that we will never estimate the impact that it can have on us. We will underestimate the impact. That is all we can confidently say. But I'm very excited to be at this very beginning of such widespread adoption of AI.
Sure. And as you said, it's only really just the beginning with the proliferation of the tech in organizations, in end user organizations, in wider society. Moving back to the legislation around semiconductors, you mentioned the US Chips and Science Act.
Yeah.
Can you talk about why that was a significant move, and how do you think it will impact the semiconductor industry in terms of innovation, production, global competition, things like that?
Yeah, I do think it is a very significant move. We know, we are all living in capitalist societies where we would like most of the enterprise to be private enterprise. So whenever government gets involved, there is a little bit of trepidation amongst everybody in the private sector as to, how whether it is right or not. But it is also true that there are many parts of the industry which cannot bootstrap itself, and that is a very difficult thing to do, especially with the amounts of capital involved, without some help from the government. And I am seeing that being the role of some of these legislative activities like the US Chip Act. Especially if you look at semiconductor manufacturing, it is such a capital-intensive sector. Some kind of initiation, whether it is in terms of capital or land or some regulatory, improvement of regulatory approvals and things like that, I think that is very useful. And we are already seeing some of the results of this CHIP Act, where whether it is Intel or TSMC or Samsung and Texas Instruments in the US, all have announced plans for fabs being set up in the US. And this is an industry which moved away from all Western Europe and US to Taiwan. And the past few decades, it has been based in Taiwan. And now we are seeing real money being put in to build some kind of capability here too. And I think it is good for the world to have a more diversified, from a world's perspective, to have a more diversified portfolio of manufacturing capability, rather than it being concentrated on one side of the world. And to make that happen, I think something like CHIP Act is absolutely necessary. And some of my customers, Intel, for example, on the back of such a commitment, even though it is not the actual money and the quantum of the money that is important, but it is about the public commitment to build this supply chain resilience that they are implementing, are very very successfully implementing a 5 nodes in 4 years design strategy, and on the manufacturing side, they are on track to come out with Intel's 18A, which would be the most advanced processing node ever. Similarly, TSMC, which is the clear market leader, has also started its work for the Arizona plant. Expected to be 50K wafers per month capacity. Samsung also has talked about a plan to set up mass production in the US. And then, of course, TA has expanded. So we are already seeing that there is a lot of very good funded initiatives that have been spurred. And the funding as such is a small amount, in my view, compared to what is needed for the total industry. But the signaling that it gives, the commitment that it gives, is what is helping the rest of the private sector to come together and say, look, we will be part of this moment where we will implement supply chain resilience for this such a critical industry, so that we will not be faced with if we are faced with, touchwood, if we are faced with something like this in future, there will be a backup. There will be some way in which we can get back on our feet much faster. So I think it is a very critical step, and I believe, given the early successes that we are seeing of the Act itself, I believe there will be enough support for that to be expanded, and I think that is the right way to do it.
Sure. And are these policies from governments like the US, are they helping chip companies realize their vision for the future? And if so, what is that vision? And also, how is HCLTech positioned to support and drive this vision moving forward?
Very good question. It's see, for our customers, if you look at a large, the bigger players in the market, like an NVIDIA or Intel or AMD, Broadcom, they all have their own areas of focus and their own plans for driving value in those areas. From an Intel's perspective, what we see is that, of course, their what they call the Intel product side, which is the fabulous semiconductor part of the business, which is what we know traditionally as Intel. They have a very aggressive plan. Maybe, if not sold, at least a significant part of the movement to have manufacturing done within US and Europe. And in a credible way, and they are doing significant investments towards that. So that is what is going on with Intel. Big customer of ours. We have a strategic role on both sides of the business for them. On the product side, we are helping them in making their roadmap much faster. And on the manufacturing side, we are one of their announced partners who is currently working on a test chip for them to make sure that once 18A is publicly available, they are going into the market with a proven test chip which will be developed by HCLTech. So there is, we are working on 18A with Intel towards making that a success. Intel also recently announced that we are one of the 6 suppliers of the year, outstanding suppliers of the year for Intel. This is an honor that has never been given to any GSI in the past. So we are very proud to have our association with Intel. Similarly, with NVIDIA, we are very much in the core of it. Given the sensitive and advanced nature of the type of work that we are doing, we do not really go public with most of the stuff, but we have a significantly large engagement which is helping them fine-tune their LLMs and providing providing a lot of support in their go-to-market initiatives. We really don't want to be public with many of the things that we do with NVIDIA. We are a significant partner for AMD too, both on the IT business services side as well as on the engineering side. So with all these customers, we have a good partnership that is going. NVIDIA, it is extremely exciting because of the way in which not just that they took early leadership in AI, now they are expanding AI and being a key player to enable AI in a much faster manner. And we are very heartened by their partnership model and partnership approach. That is, I think that is the right approach, wherein people like us and other technology providers are helping take AI much faster. Something that is interesting for us from a customer perspective is also, SK Hynix and Samsung. As you know, we have Korea as a significant focus from HCLTech as a country of focus. SK Hynix is a customer of ours on an engineering side. It has got some history with their Solidigm acquisition, where we are a key partner of theirs. And with Samsung, especially on their manufacturing side, we are their partner. They have announced us as a partner, and we are looking forward to more customers on Samsung's manufacturing nodes too. So all in all, we feel very comfortable and excited about all these customers and their plans and how we are contributing to that.
Great. And we're involved in quite a few elements of the ecosystem, it seems, based on what you've just said.
Yeah.
So with the explosion of adoption of technologies like AI, that requires a great demand for semiconductor chips. And obviously that has some sustainability implications, electricity consumption and production, manufacturing. So how is the semiconductor industry addressing these environmental concerns while continuing to make sure it keeps innovating?
Yeah, it's a great question. The heartening part of it is that, pretty much every discussion that I am having with my customers or some industry forums where we are getting together, sustainability is at the forefront. Even in policy discussions, especially in the US, when we talk about semiconductor, energy is first or second, probably, the topic that comes up. And pretty soon after that, talent shortage comes up. Sustainability, thankfully, has been at the forefront of, at least on the agenda for most of the industry. So that is a good part of it. But the core issue, which is energy and water consumption, that has not really been solved. And to an extent, the greenhouse gas emissions also is an issue that is there. But I think energy, water consumption has not really been solved from a technology perspective. But there are some interesting developments that are happening. The way in which people are putting in their data centers, closer to energy sources or closer to cooling resources and things like that are all a good way to address it. But I still think a technology solution to water and energy is still pending. Now, I see, TSMC has put in some water reclamation kind of thing. There is wastewater recycling that is going on. In UMC in Singapore, there are some strategies like that are there. This is a real challenge. Even not just in the US, even in India, when we are looking at some of these facilities, the water is shortage, and how we do this, it needs to be thought through very well. Now, from our perspective, from HCLTech's perspective, what we are trying to do is to enable the infrastructure and the plumbing, so to say, to help manage this. So there are sustainability platform solutions that we implement, and so that what can't be measured can't be managed. So we do measure, monitor, manage, and hence with all the AI models and others, the insights that come out will at least optimize within the technologies that we have today. We are trying to optimize it within that. So it is a good and a bad kind of a situation, Nick. The good part is that everybody has that at the top of the agenda, so that is a very good thing. There is a good part is also that because of this being in the agenda, there is some funding and there is initiatives that are going on to optimize. But the bad part is I still think the core of water, energy, and greenhouse gas emissions is still not really solved. So we are on the way, though. Like most of the innovations in the past, I am very confident that there will be some solutions that will come and we will be able to get over it. Very good question on an extremely relevant topic.
Well, it's great you've got a positive outcome for it. So before we wrap up, I'd like to ask you just about the challenges and opportunities that are present within the semiconductor industry. First, what are the biggest challenges and how is HCLTech positioned to overcome them?
If you look at what has changed And that can give us an idea on more than challenges. I really think these are all opportunities for us to grow, but you can term it as challenges. I talked earlier in this discussion around Intel's strategy around 5 nodes in 4 years. That is a significant change of pace. A node is typically 18 months or so, but now we are talking about a significant contraction of that. And these nodes of manufacturing are also pretty much reached the physical limits that we work with some of the semi equipment providers where the equipment that we are talking about for making these chips, we are talking about displacing individual electrons from molecules. Those are the kinds of things that these equipment are doing. And the etching and the layouts at that molecular level has reached a place where it is extremely complicated. I mean, pretty much most of the factories are all dark. There is no human involvement. Most of the systems are system of systems rather than human beings doing the systems. So there is complexity. Technological complexity is at an all-time high, and it is rapidly increasing. So what the result of that is, there is this pressure to constantly innovate. Yield improvement for semi chips, and of course with this complexity also comes the cost of making. I mean, if you look at some of the equipment that is coming out from a company like ASML, a lot of our customers, these are not hundreds of thousands of dollars. These are multi-million-dollar investments that you will need to make for an equipment piece of an equipment. I mean, that is and the associated costs of and hence the outcome that is expected are all at a different level than what we are used to. Now, this is on the one side, right, which is on the chip development and hence challenges associated with that. Then there are all these uncertainties that are there. We talked about AI, ML, and where to put the money. There is a business complexity that also has increased because there is uncertainty, and hence there is some business complexity. There will be winners and there will be losers. So that is because of the complexity and the speed of change, a set of challenges like that. Then we referred to it earlier. There is a geopolitical challenge also that is going on. There is, COVID was a wake-up call for all of us. For most of us, once in a lifetime, first in a lifetime, definitely occurrence, where if you look back, we have a lot of learnings. Our first reaction to it, first policy reaction to it, societal reaction to it, technology's reaction to it, all of them we were learning on the go. One of the things that came out of it is supply chain resilience, saying, look, it doesn't make any sense that all your eggs are in one basket. Let us have at least some backups, right? And so those kinds of things are definitely something that is happening. The supply chain disruption is also not just because of such things, but also because of the demand side of it. While science fiction had imagined autonomous driving a long time back, the speed at which things have improved, especially in the last few years, is incredible. So there is again some kind of disruption that is happening because of that. So that is a second kind of challenge that I want to highlight. The third kind of a challenge or an opportunity is, look, all these changes and this speed means we all will need to change. Talent needs to change. And that is probably the most exciting part for me, because we are, at the end of the day, we are a people company. And our the problems that we solve are about how do we improve human lives by changing people, and by training, retraining, and growth associated with that. So there is a whole topic. You can call it as a challenge by saying it is a talent shortage or a skill gap kind of thing. That is one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is that there is a transformation that is needed for each of us, for the whole talent in the workforce. And that is where I think, in my view, amongst all of them, the biggest unknown or the place where maybe as much focus has not gone in, I would say, is in that. And that is probably the next phase of it, where we will need to fundamentally relook at how are we developing code, how are we designing a chip, how are we improving customer experience, how are we tuning an LLM. All of these are going to be requiring new skills that are not there, and that is what is happening in the industry, in my view, for the next 18 months. That would be the biggest challenge, and we are very excited about it, because HCLTech as a people provider, and the biggest change that is happening in talent, we are there to lead that change. So we are extremely excited about being in this position in this sector.
Sure. So it's a challenge and an opportunity, and I suppose it's also looking at how we can enable technology to augment humans to do their jobs better, to do them faster, more efficiently, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
So, yeah, as we wrap up, Ameer, what advice would you give to the new engineers, this new generation of talent, and companies looking to make their mark in the semiconductor industry?
So, first, what I would recommend is be very aware of a lot of folks talking about, jobs disappearing because of AI. I say be aware of it, but not be afraid of it. The reason I say that is it will inform all of you on where to put in your time. I don't believe that jobs are disappearing. I think there will be more jobs, more meaningful jobs because of all these changes. This is not my idea, but I think it was a Google chief economist once mentioned. It is not about what you know. It is about your skills of learning a new skill. That is the only thing that is important. So for the next generation who is coming into the industry, I think the insight remains the same. That look, you need to be open. You need to be open to learning new things, and you need to keep honing your skills to learn new things. We are not in a stable phase. Maybe if we had a sustained stable phase of 20, 30 years, and in some industries that is there. That is not the case in technology. That is not the case in semiconductor. The key is to be adaptable. The key is to be able to pick up new skills. That would be my input to somebody who is looking at a career in this industry.
Sure. And to a degree, do you think organizations like HCLTech or even the end users, they can foster that adaptable, continuous learning mindset with the right culture in place, right?
It's an amazing question that you asked. It is not about whether they can. I really think people who do not foster it will not survive. Especially this I'm coming at it from a Gen Z culture kind of perspective. The labor work also has changed. The workforce has changed significantly in terms of attitude towards work. I saw that change accelerating post-COVID too. And I think the concept of longevity, loyalty, and longer-term association with work is now more associated with longevity and loyalty to a work culture rather than a specific organization. I think it is up to the organizations to make sure that the culture is a progressive one which helps people move, which helps people gain new experiences. Part of it is in the business itself. Like, that is a great help. So what I'm saying is if the company is working on 18A and 3 nanometer, most likely the type of work that will come up will be helping somebody experience new technology. So that is a great part. But it goes beyond that, because a lot of us in these organizations, especially senior leaders, whether we like it or not, we have been trained in an older world, and our own retraining to be more in tune with the need of the market, that itself is a challenge. And that is the senior leadership who rises to the challenge will be leading organizations that will survive. Rest of the organization which do not provide that kind of a work culture that you referred to, Nick, they will have a very difficult time surviving, because this is a people business. What we are at the core of it, while we are the end result looks like we are serving our customers and improving productivity, customer experience, and all that. What we are inherently doing is providing opportunities to people and helping them grow in their lives. And if we cannot do that with the right work culture, frankly, there is no reason why companies like that should exist. So on a positive side, I truly think people who have the right work culture will come out on top. I believe that we have that in HCLTech, or at least we are in a continuous improvement mode to improve that. There are many parts where we still need to work on. But we keep listening and we keep improving on those. It is like I mentioned it during the sustainability discussion. It is again not a solved thing, but at least it is the highest on the agenda to make sure that we provide such a work environment.
That's great. It's always good to end on a positive. Ameer, thank you so much for your time discussing the semiconductor industry, the challenges, the opportunities, legislation, innovation going on behind the scenes. We really appreciate your time.
Absolutely, Nick. It's always great to talk to you. Thank you.
Take care.